flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left. Going till there ain't nothing, keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left. Going till there ain't nothing, keep the flame on max. I'ma keep it going till there ain't nothing left.
This is the Doghouse Sports Podcast. So we were talking about Therrien, the Andrew Shaw interview we were talking before. But do you have any good Therrien stories? Because like I've heard so many things about him, like just him like you go into his office and it's just fucking clouds of smoke, and like fucking Shazzy said, it's so funny.
Yeah, I don't have any like funny lines, but I had 20 of those meetings where, you know, he was a guy that wouldn't necessarily single guys out in front of the group. He would always bring you into the office one-on-one, which I totally respected. And like would rarely, you know, we would do video and we would go over some things, but would rarely, you know, degrade guys and embarrass guys in front of everybody, which I really, really respected. You know, he would bring you in and sit you down, and, you know, whether it was at, you know, the Bell Center downtown or in Brossard, he'd have his smoke in the room, and you could and you know, even like times when I'm on the bench, like, you know, you get back for the period, first period finishes, you get back on the bench for the start of the second, and you just get this wave of smoke behind you would come and get you. And you look and there's Michel there. But yeah, he would. And when I heard the Theodore interview and you know, he was giving it to him, and he's pretty funny. Like numerous times, man, he would tell me like, you know, nobody in the league wants you. You know, you're one game away. I'm taking you out of the lineup. You won't play again. Like,
oh shit.
He would be a
savage.
He would be pretty ruthless with some of the things you said, but literally be the first guy when you go out and play well that night or the next game, the first guy to come pat you on the back and have a joke and like slash you in practice when you know, he first gets out or you start laughing. So, you know, extremely hard on you, and some of those smoke meetings, he would just absolutely shred you and make you feel like just the biggest piece of shit. But you know, it worked for me, and I think it continued to work. I think that's why he did it to me so many times, because every time he did it worked. If I needed a boost or he needed me to play better, he would bring me in, shred me, and where his office was in the practice rink, it was like all the way down the hall. So like you had to think about it for like a minute as you're walking down there. Like, you know, Flower, the team service guy or the assistant coach would be like, hey, Mike wants to meet with you in the room, or the assistant coach would grab you. Hey, Mike wants to meet you in his office. You're like, oh, fuck. And you literally make a slow walk down the whole long hallway, get in there, close the door. He doesn't say anything right away. It was, oh man, I have nightmares about some of those meetings still.
Oh man, that's great, man. I just love the fucking the smoke stories, man. Like he would go like smoke like inside, and I'm pretty like he can't smoke inside anymore, and he'd still do it, eh?
Oh yeah,
just give no fucks.
Nope.
I love it, man. I love it. I just love those stories of like for me is like a fan. Like I wasn't crazy about him as a coach, but like the one thing I do take out of him that I respect, like again, the what you're telling me, I do respect that. Like he's the first one to give you a pat on the back, and you know, but at the same time, you know, he give you shit when he has to, which is his job, right? But
and it didn't matter who you were. That's what I probably respected about him most. It didn't matter if you were Max Pacioretty, didn't matter if you were Dale Weiss, Brandon Prust, whoever you were, Danny Briere. It didn't matter who you were. If you weren't playing to the standard that you could play at, he was going to let you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's so many coaches that can't do that. So I'm biased on him big time. Like I loved him.
Yeah,
I played my best under him. So
he gave you a lot of opportunity. You know, that's the thing, right? Like he gave you a lot of great opportunity, and he put you in some really good situations, and that's one thing too. Like I mean, he really, I don't know if this makes sense, but like he kind of like really got like he really elevated your game in a sense. He helped you elevate your game, I guess, if that's the right thing to say.
Well, yeah, for sure. I played my best under him.
Yeah.
You know, he gave me good opportunities, but I earned them to get there. And then when I got those opportunities, I took advantage of them. And I think that's
For sure.
that was the key. You need the opportunity, but you also, you got to take advantage when you get it.
For sure. Like, and one thing I like, again, I did like about him though was, like, again, if a player got injured, like a dirty hit or whatever, right? You'd see him on the bench, like screaming at the ref. Like I remember in the 13 playoffs when Lars Eller got hit, that open ice hit on Eric Ryba. And like Therrien was like the first one, like fucking screaming at the ref. He even took it to the post game conference and like
for
saying
sure,
like ranting to the media. And like that's the one thing I did like about him. And I remember PK2, there was the Boston series. It was after game 1. He got like a bunch of from what I heard, what like happened, like he got like a bunch of like racist like tweets thrown towards him and at the rink too. And apparently like the next day, like Michel like actually like called him into his office and said, hey, like, are you good? Like, is everything okay? Like, I know there's some pretty bad shit that happened. And so like, I think he was just like, again, very old school, like you said, like the very old school, like hockey guy. And just a lot of them, that's how they coached, right? Like Scotty Bowman was like that. I know Steve Yzerman said he fucking hated Scotty Bowman because, again, he was just a very old school guy, but he brought the best out of him, right? And he helped him get to where he did in his career, right?
100%. He's one of the very few coaches that I had that I felt actually cared about you as a person.
Yeah.
Which I could say is pretty rare because most coaches really don't give a shit about you. They could care less. They want to win games, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So he, you talk about the PK story. I got 100 of stories where he did stuff like that, where, you respect him because he does stuff like that. And then, the next day he can scream at you and yell at you because that's the way he coaches, but he could separate his personal life and you actually knew that he cared. And that was, again, one of the many things that I respected about him.
For sure. Yeah, man. He was funny at times too. Like hearing some of those stories about him and shit, like, and like some of his media rants were pretty good. And fucking the one with Lars Eller, he's like, no respect for the fans, no respect for for his family in the stand. It was just so funny. He was going off. I love it. And man, oh man, what that guy? Yeah, that guy's he's something else for sure. And I think he's with the Flyers coaching staff now, from what my understanding, Vino now. So he's doing all right.